I know that looked brutal, but this plant will be fine. This is a salvia called Henry Duelberg. It is a Texas native. It is super tough, and I took it down by about half because I need to move it away from the spot that it was in. It was too tall for that area. I'm kind of reworking that flower bed, so I'm moving it over here to give you guys an idea. We're in the flower bed that has the spineless prickly pear, kidney wood, all these big red yucca. This is my oldest, most established flower bed over here, and I love having lots of blue and purple color. This is also an area of my garden that I know doesn't need much water. So since this is a native, it's super drought tolerant. But whenever I transplant something, I always come in and backfill the hole with water and root and grow. And you mix it up with water. It contains IBA, which is a root stimulating hormone, and I'm gonna just drench this plant in it. There it is right there, looking a little pissed off, looking a little wilted. It will be absolutely fine tucked back in there. Speaking of this flower bed, this is one of my favorite flower beds, my most established flower bed. It's in its prime right now. Let me give you a really quick look. Just really quickly on this side, this big plant that you see right here is one catmint. It's just one nepeta, and it is very, very busy with bees today. More salvia. That's a Victoria blue, fairly sure, with these really dark purple spires and pointy leaves. It's gorgeous. One of the favorites of the bees out here. Some iris, trailing rosemary, some English lavender. We come to this bed for garden projects here on this channel quite a bit, so I know that y'all have seen most of these, but it just changes day by day as the weather gets warmer. All of these right here are English lavender, a super blue variety. That hot pink that you see is a Salvia gregae, or an autumn sage. That's been a favorite of the hummingbirds this year, along with that red yucca, which are these big, tall pink spires that you see. More lavender. Some iris, that's that strappy texture right there. That's all bearded iris. Salvia nemorosa all through here. Another big time favorite of the bees. This silvery guy right here is all Russian sage. Hold on, there's some in bloom here in the center of this flower bed. Let me show you. These are some agave. They have pups, obviously, everywhere. If anyone needs some agave, let me know. Good Lord. There we go. So these are a little bit further along than the other ones on the other side of the flower bed. But they'll bloom this beautiful, soft lavender color all summer. Extremely low on the water needs for that one. These spiky guys that you see are all Liatris. This is Rudbeckia. Rudbeckia right there, Rudbeckia right there. Oh, look, it's gonna throw a bloom. I'm so excited about these. I started them from seed over the winter. Can't wait to see what they look like. Haven't grown that variety before. There's so many different kinds of Rudbeckia, y'all. This cheerful yellow. Sorry, baby. I'm sorry, honey. You okay? I stepped on her tail. Sorry, sweetie. This cheerful yellow that you see right here is all Zexmania, another native, also called hairy Dahlia, because these leaves are super scratchy and hairy, but it throws these beautiful, bright yellow, very cheerful blooms all summer. Never have to come over and water it. Reseeds everywhere. I've been transplanting it like crazy because if I didn't, it would just take over this area. Another nepeta, seedling Zexmania, a lavender. I showed this lavender in a short and in a TikTok recently because the way that this agave is just chopping it up is making me laugh. It's not hurting anything. The lavender's just kind of growing over it and the agave has decided to come through. I think it's pretty cool. Someone said it looks like a water slide. It totally does look like a water slide. This bright orange that you see over here is butterfly weed, or milkweed. This is the native milkweed, so it's that beautiful bright orange color. You can see a bee back there working it. It obviously has a bad case of milkweed aphids, but I'm not worried about it whatsoever. That will resolve itself very soon. An annual lantana in a pot. My spineless prickly pear cactus. Looking gorgeous. Gonna bloom here very soon. All of these will be big yellow flowers. I cannot wait. When it blooms, I'll show y'all right away, because the bees, there will be like 5 or 10 bees per bloom, just all in there fighting it out because they love it so much. More iris. This is some of our native liatris, so it looks quite different than those ones that I bought at Home Depot that I just showed y'all. I actually dug this up out of our flower bed, or out of the pasture, and brought it up here. This is a phenomenal lavender, this big silver ball right here. And you might be thinking like, oh, well, it looks flopped. I'm actually kind of glad that it has flopped, because it's allowing more sunlight into the interior of the plant. You can see that it's starting new growth down in there. This is one of the oldest lavenders I have. I brought it from our old house, so it's probably 6 or 7 years old at this point. Love that. There is a younger one right there. More sage, more purple. As you can tell, I go heavy on the purple. I don't know why. I'm trying to get out of that habit. I'm just always attracted to the blue and the purple. There's some pink though. That's a drift rose. And a bird feeder that's currently serving as a bird house, because a bird has made a nest in there. So, dual purpose. We have more transplanting to do, and I am closing in on the window for transplanting things in the area of Texas that I'm in. Once it starts to get really, really hot and the rain ceases, which we are coming up on now, we get the majority of our rain in this part of Texas. I'm in north central Texas, like an hour north of Waco. We get the majority of our rainfall in the spring, and that's the best time to be transplanting things. Nothing settles in a new transplant like good, heavy rainstorm. So when it gets hot and there's no rain, that kind of doubles the stress on these plants being moved. I don't move anything past like the 2nd or 3rd week of May. I have some things that have seeded in the garden that need to be moved to new locations, and I want to show you guys me doing that, just like gonna give you some more tips. And also, we need to plant some things. I started so many seeds over the winter. I've done so many propagations. I'm kind of like swimming in plants, which for most people is a good thing. And for me, it is too. I love having tons of plants. It's just that we're kind of coming in on that time of year here in Texas where it's not really smart to plant things that you really want to survive, because it's just too hard on them. Let's go find this other transplant. We have moved flower beds to a different area of the property. And if you were paying attention during the last short little garden tour that I just gave you, this, and this should look familiar to you. It's all Russian sage. And I used to have a Russian sage over here, and it was the kind that would seed about. This is a beautiful abelia that I just planted here. I can't wait to see it get nice and big. I love abelias, and so do the bees. Anyway, I got this guy, that guy, and this guy. They need to go because they're gonna get, they're gonna like interfere. They're gonna interfere with this abelia. I don't want this abelia's form to be impacted by these growing up, blocking the light. I really like things planted very thickly, obviously, but I don't want these Russian sage here. I'm going to put them somewhere else where they're more suited, where they'll get more sun. I have the perfect place. Oh, but look at that. There's another one. If you don't recognize what I'm talking about, a few months ago I planted a basil called green globe basil, and I was kind of like not sure how it would do. I grew these from seed. They're flowering, but they've stayed in these cute little balls. They're so cute. I really like them so far. They're doing super good in all the places that I put them, but I just figured I'd give y'all an update, because when we put them in the ground they were only like, they were teeny tiny, but this is how they're doing now. Looking good. I'm making this whole area smell like basil just by petting it. Speaking of beautiful things in this area, get a load of that lavender. It seriously looks like something out of a magazine. I transplanted this over the winter, and it apparently just absolutely loved that treatment. Look at that bee working. Y'all, it is so difficult for me to stay focused right now. Everything's doing something, and everything looks so good. We've had such good weather. It's been a very cool, pleasant spring for us in this area. We've been getting tons of rain. Things are just looking so good. I couldn't keep myself inside the house if I tried. Let's grab him out of here. This is like finding free plants. I mean, if I go buy a Russian sage at the garden center, I may pay $15. Let me see how much of this I can get. Go deep under him. As I'm popping the seedling out of the ground, I just want to dig around in here to try to find as much of this root ball as I can. It kind of looks like it might be leading back to, oh, got it. There it is. Let's address this one, which is growing right at the base of this abelia, and it wouldn't be happy with the amount of water that I want to give that abelia anyway. Just loosen it up with my spade. Yank on it. Same thing with this little one. Here we go. Pop him up. I don't think I'll even need my spade on this guy. Wow, came right out. Okay. Look at all these. Look at all these free plants. This is the flower bed that I showed y'all a long time ago, me making. It's brand new this year. It doesn't have much going on in it, but the things that I do put in here, I make sure that they are some of the absolute toughest plants that I can find or start from seed, because it's very exposed. It's right by the roadway. Everything in here has to be a survivor, such as Dahlia, Flamacanthus, Nepeta. We put some sedum in here, y'all. Some of them drowned, some of them are fine, but they're still just very tiny. Some Monarda, Salvia greyi, Victoria blue salvia, more Zexminia, a yellow yucca, which is kind of on the struggle bus because we've been getting so much rain. Hasn't really liked that so far, but this is where we're gonna put this Russian sage. I'm gonna dig some holes. I'm gonna plant them fairly deeply. They will be fine planted deeply. They will start to root from where I plant them. I'm gonna trim a lot of this foliage off, and then we will water them in. I'm out of root and grow. I just used my last bit of it on that salvia, but that's okay. We should be fine. Here's one of our little guys. Pop the soil out. Put him in. Actually might do 2 in this spot, since that one's kind of a weak guy, kind of small. We'll go ahead and put 2 in here, like so. Gonna put our soil back on top. I will come back by with water, but before we do that, we're gonna do that. Cover him back up with mulch. And we will keep each of these very consistently moist over the coming weeks, especially because it's gonna be so hot, and hopefully we have all these take. And if they don't, I mean, it is what it is. It didn't cost us nothing but our time, right? But it's worth it to move these plants around. You'll save so much money in the long run picking up these little seedlings that pop up and putting them elsewhere in your garden. Y'all know me, I'm a plant saver. If y'all remember me ripping out that Vitex because I didn't think it was gonna grow, but I just couldn't bear to throw it away, Oh my Lord, it's leafing out like crazy. It'll probably even bloom this year. Take off all this. To tell you the truth, I'm having a really hard time stopping myself from propagating these. I don't know that that's something I'll ever be able to stop my obsession with. Every time I cut a plant back or brush past it and accidentally break a piece off or whatever, I feel like I need to hold on to that material and make more plants. But as of now, I'm already swimming in plants. But I could always use more Russian sage. I think I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna propagate it. Given that I just gave myself another project for the day, let's get this show on the road with all these Russian sage. Soil on top. Whoops. Put soil on top. Where's my snips? There we go. Take all that off. We're good to go. That will keep them happy for now until I can get around to transplanting them. Okay, we are back in that flower bed where we just cut down that salvia that was right there that we moved. Here's all the tops of it, and here's the rest of this flower bed. I'd like to make a quick point about why I have left the top of the plant that I cut off. I am very, very much a big believer in the chop and drop method. So if I cut something back, I am very likely to just leave it in place with a few exceptions. Unless I'm cutting back a noxious weed, unless it's Bermuda, because you can lay Bermuda down on pretty much anywhere and it will just be like, thank you, and it will pick up and grow again. But in cases like these, where I'm just trimming a plant or I'm preparing it for a transplant or whatever it is, I'm gonna leave the material that I've cut off in place in my garden. It's gonna break down and go away. It's gonna improve the structure of my soil. I don't want to remove insects or eggs or whatever it is that may have been on that plant, especially since it's a native. It's very likely that something was living on that plant. I want to leave that in place that whatever it was can move to a different location in this flower bed, be as minimally disturbed as possible, and it's just better for the soil and the health of the garden all around to leave your clippings in place, whatever they may be. Just my thoughts. Good kitty. Little mama. Little mama. Regarding this flower bed and what we're going to do in here today, we need to plant it up a little bit. I widened this flower bed substantially this past year just because it was getting a little bit too neck down. The edge of the flower bed used to be right here along this lamb's ear. I would like to plant something right in here today. Let's go over to where I have all my propagations and seedlings and we will pick something out. Okay, y'all, here's part of our plant stash right here. I think I'd like to go in with these purple agastache. They're dying to get out of their container. They're gonna bloom pink, as you can see by that bud that's waiting. And that will look good. These four just kind of in a little drift next to that yellow lantana. Maybe something like that. What do y'all think? So, dark purple foliage, pink flowers. This will bloom yellow, but it's yellow foliage on its own. Yeah, I like that. Let's do that. Okie dokie. Let's do this first one. See what this root system looks like. I started these back in like January time frame, and they have been needing to be planted for quite a while. We're lucky that it's already been staying so mild. Very healthy looking, nice looking. There we go. Those were the main things that I wanted to get done today. But before we go, I have to show you guys these seedling dahlias. They're cracking me up, and honestly, I might have found a new addiction to growing dahlias from seed. I highly recommend growing them from seed. Dahlia genetics are very weird and really fascinating if you care to dig into them. But basically, when you start a dahlia from seed, there is going to be huge variation across the board. You are not going to be able to put a seed in the ground like you would with a zinnia and have that zinnia for sure that you saw in the picture come up and bloom. The dahlia seedling will look kind of like the picture, but there's going to be a ton of variation, and the only way to duplicate that dahlia that you really like that you grew from seed is to save the tuber or to propagate it with a cutting or something like that. You can't collect seeds from this dahlia that you love and get that exact same dahlia. It may look similar, but it will not be the exact same as if you dug this tuber up out of the ground. So let me just show you a few of the ones that they're making so far. It is seriously super fun. It's more fun than buying the tuber and getting a really fancy dinner plate dahlia, because every time I come out here there's a new bloom that looks completely different than the one that came before it. It's really cool. I've had a really good time with it. Here's my little row. This was the mignon mix, these hot pink ones, but these, everything that is like an orangey, oh, that one's so pretty. It's perfect. This yellow, everything like in this area was from a mix called Sunny Reggae that I started from seed under lights and on heat mats this winter, and then I planted them out a little too early, I'll admit, because they got nipped by frost, that late frost that we had back in mid-April. But aren't these so funny? Like, look at that one. Oh, I haven't seen that one yet. I hadn't seen this one yet. Oh my gosh. Look at that. I love yellow. Yellow's my favorite color. That is just gorgeous. These are so cool. My enthusiasm for these, I can't even explain to you how much fun these are. Only the plant nerds will understand how fun this is. Okay, I have to remind myself to come by and tag this plant and save it, because that is stunning. I have no idea what those little sugar ants are doing in there, but... And my little bachelor buttons are doing their thing right next door. That'll do it for today. Thanks for following along. I'll see y'all next time.